right, back with our interview setup again. This time we switched it up for our key light. Now we're using the Lowell Omni light with a silver umbrella from Lowell. And that's working pretty good to give us a nice key light, but now we need to add a hair light to the setup here. And so what we're gonna do, back here, I have a C-stand with a grip arm on here, a grip head with a grip rod attached. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get this in position here and just add a little pop of hair light. Now, we need to make sure that we're keeping this out of sight of our interview camera. So I'm gonna get the barn doors cranked down here. I'm gonna pop this on and make sure we're not spotting. I want this in the widest setting. That's pretty good there. And then we're gonna get this up. And the idea is we want this to be hitting the top of the hair and the shoulders here, just to give a little splash of light right down here. Now, to see what this is doing, I'm gonna kill these other lights. And that's what our hair light is doing here. We get a nice highlight on the hair and the shoulders here. Now, if we move it around to the side, we get more of a kicker effect where we're getting just a little bit of light off the cheek here in the side, but this is kind of a traditional hair light here. It's up right in the center and it's giving us a nice rim of light right around Rachel. Now, the light that I'm using there is a Lowell Pro light with the barn doors. It's a 200-watt incandescent light. Let's add our main light here and let's check out what we got going on in our interview camera. This is a pretty nice look. Another way that I like to use the hair light is I like to have a golden colored hair light here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swap out the Omni light here for this, which is a fluorescent light. So I'm gonna pull this back. And this does a great job, but I wanna mix up the color temperatures just a little bit here. In this configuration, this is a 2-bank fluorescent tube style light here. Pretty lightweight, 255-watt CFLs, and I have a big hunk of minus green. It's Roscoe 3313. And so right now, this is not gonna look super great because what we need to do is we need to go in our camera here, we need to bump the white balance back to 5400 or somewhere in that neighborhood. Maybe 5,500. There we go. And so now what we have is we have it balanced for this light, which makes the hair light look extra orange. And I am a fan of that look because we have this kind of blue light here that we are white balancing for. And now we get a nice golden hair light, which I think is a pleasing effect. To maybe add to this, we get our big mega flag here. There, cut off the background a little bit more. Oh, that's much better. That's a much better look. Now, there's a trick with using a hair light on a lady. On a man, particularly a man with short hair, a hard hair light can look very good. On a woman with longer hair, a hair light can kind of accentuate flyaway hairs, which is something that you may not want to do. So controlling the intensity of the hair light is something to consider. So I'm gonna grab a dimmer here. It's just gonna make it look more goldeny, more delicious. And basically what we want is we want the effect, but we don't want it so much. And this will help, because we have it up all the way, I can see those flyaway hairs from here. But we just want a little bit of highlight. So that's about 50% intensity right there on the dimmer. I think that looks pretty good. We're still getting that little golden kick. It's nice, and it's not quite as bad getting those flyaway hairs there. As we looked at before, we have other options when it comes to rigging up a hair light. Another one would be this setup here, which is all from Lowell. This is their Lowell full pole, which works as a background support. It has a whole bunch of things. You can use it as a floor to ceiling pole with some additional attachments. I have a Lowell weight on the back of here and a Lowell grip on here. And we can throw this on a stand and extend these out. And we can get a big, large boom for a really lightweight light. Now I've used this with the Lowell Pro light, and it's worked really, really well way out like this. Now usually if I have the Lowell Pro light on there, I'll probably either have to add another Lowell weight back here or maybe a small sandbag back here, because I basically like to get these things balanced so that the weight is right over the stand. And sometimes what I'll do to make sure that I have that just right is I'll just kind of balance the load. And if it's light, you can get away with doing this, and just make sure that it's right here. So you can kind of extend this out a little bit. You know, we're just pretending that there's a load on here. And right about there, it's balanced. So with no load, that's about right. And if we put a load on the end, we're gonna have to add more weight here, but that's basically how you want this to sit. I'm not really supporting it. It's just nice and balanced. And that is a great way to use these boom arms with a little bit of counterweight, and that way all the weight sits right over the stand. Now with that stand that we have back there, and I'll move flag out of the way, with this C-stand back here, we don't really have a counterweight here to balance the arm. So in this particular case, we need to make sure that we're using something really, really beefy. Now, if we wanted to, we could get away with using another light as a hair light. So we can use an LED light. Those small on-camera lights actually make great hair lights. And let me get one of those on a stand and we'll check out what that looks like. Now, I don't normally like to use a battery operated light, but for demonstration purposes, we're gonna use it right now. I have this same exact light, or a really similar light, with a power adapter, and that works pretty well. So we can use this little LED light here to give a little hair light as well. Now sometimes it's nice to maybe put a gel on this. Usually I like to put an amber gel or just maybe a tiny bit of orange, some CTO, color temperature orange. And it is actually providing a good amount. Turn this guy off here so you can see. And there we go. It's working pretty good. We can also use a larger light back here. We can use a softer light. Traditionally, a small point light is used, but you know, the sky's really the limit, and you can really get creative in what you can do. This is just a real basic setup right now. We have 2 lights and it's working pretty good. But next we're gonna look at how we can dress up the background a little bit for this setup. So we're gonna add a couple of background lights and see what we can do to add some texturing to the background